Good morning, everyone. I'm coming to you live from my in-laws' house. I've got cinnamon roll dough proofing, and there's a fine dusting of flour over my mother-in-law's otherwise immaculate kitchen. I got to take my Christmas early because I'm in an industry where working Christmas is inevitable, and also where getting Christmas off probably isn't gonna happen, especially as low as I am on the totem pole. So I mentioned I'm at my in-laws for the holiday, and everyone gets this opinion of, oh gosh, who got offended by what this time? How many scream fights were there, and everything like that? And I I've lost the ability to even laugh at that one. Because I actually like my in-laws. You know, my father-in-law is really good with electronics. We spent about an hour working on two different mixers I'm trying to restore because he actually has some electrical knowledge, and all I've got is the ability to tinker and the time and stupid youthful energy. And then my mother-in-law makes stained glass. She paints. She does anything she wants because she's retired, and I admire that. But and they also accept that, I'm not at the best job in the world, and somewhere I've got to pull 25 grand out of my butt if I want to adopt a kid. So they knew that Christmas was going to be a little bit tight this year, and that didn't offend anyone. That was wonderful that that fact didn't offend people. So I thought today I'd wax a little bit philosophical. So we've got this classic conundrum that somehow we've once again accepted. That is the paradox of the unstoppable force and the immovable object. And the two simply can't exist in the same world. Okay? If there is such a thing as an unstoppable force, then there can't be such a thing as an immovable object. So saying what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, well, today's social culture. That's what happens. Because we've accepted this idea that, on the one hand, people are allowed to like what they like. 30-year-olds can proudly post about Pokemon Go. 7-year-olds can proudly blare their Led Zeppelin. 22-year-olds can boast about their antiques, and the old people can boast about the computers they've built in the modern era. That's cool and that's wonderful. But at the same time, we've developed such a culture of sensitivity that people have to get offended in behalf of other people. Which, that's a level of coddling this era hasn't heard of. Or, well, this species hasn't heard of. Really? When did we get to the point where being offended by the stuff that's happening to you wasn't enough, but you had to go and be offended by the stuff that's happening with someone else? Now, I am excluding any actual injustices that do need to be corrected, right? Okay, someone is taking... If I see someone actively taking part in slavery, sure, I'm going to try and stop that. Human trafficking, sure, I'm against it. But when it's down to the point that you're offended that fat people shouldn't be cosplaying as thin characters, or if you're above a certain weight, I expect you to be wearing a certain amount of clothing. Ew. Okay? And that's not to say I hate fat people. Okay? What I do hate, and I will use the word hate in this regard, is the fat person that believes that they're entitled to more simply because they're fat. You don't need the mobility scooter, you actually need to be walking. And chances are it's not genetic. Unless by genetic you mean donuts. Yeah. Okay, so let me illustrate this unstoppable force and immovable object. When I was at non-descon, or when I did actively participate in convention culture, because that's still a wonderful thing, even from a psychological point of view. Going to a convention is a micro environment in and of itself that's beautiful. I mean, if more people showered, that would still be a wonderful thing. But so one of the things that I enjoyed about conventions was there would be the people that had signs or picket signs or anything that said free hugs. And you know, I'm not stupid. I love hugs. So I'd get a hug. Especially if the gal offering said hug was not unattractive. That having been said, a hug's a hug. There's just something nice and wonderful about it as long as it doesn't linger too long. Because that gets awkward for everyone. Okay, so I'm accepting a hug from a gal in a beautiful, beautiful medieval ball gown. It was clear that she had spent a lot of work on this one. And someone had to throw a crap fit because I was accepting full body contact from a total stranger. And what could be going through my mind? What could be going through her mind? I'm pretty sure they didn't say that, but I believe in equality. What's going through other people's minds, and who's been raped in someone else's mind? It wasn't expressed that way because we hadn't learned to be offended by so little, but the idea was there. There's something wrong about two people doing something that doesn't honestly affect person C. Really? It's a hug. And even if she had fantasized about me, it's a compliment. Okay? It was a hug. She didn't grope me or anything. So, we've now reestablished the unstoppable force and immovable object in the form of people liking what they like and people be offending by everything that doesn't fit their version of the status quo. And it's creating a paradox. We cannot continue to operate in that way and expect for us to solve anything. We're just going in circles, and the people who are smart are getting dizzy enough they're getting off that train. And I know you don't like hearing it from someone who looks like they're only 16 years old, but we need to grow up. Okay? Stop being offended. So what if Uncle Albert comes over and he's sloshed and starts talking about how Trump needs to go ahead and start building that wall? Big deal. He's not actually donating bricks or offering to join the workforce for that wall. I don't think it's even been brought up. Or someone says an off-color joke. Big deal. Because here's the other paradox we're starting to deal with, is that we have the First Amendment rights, so we're allowed to say what we want to say, but they're always just words. I blame the internet. I blame social media for that, because we now have the capacity to say whatever we want to say, and we don't even have to sign our name to it. Right? We can do whatever we want online under someone else's name, and it's not that hard. You know, I will admit that back in the day, I had a Gaia Online account. I know it's tragic, I am ashamed, but I had two. One was a context that I couldn't share in real life, for whatever reason that is. Wasn't that hard. Tried to make something up. And it's that level of anonymity and the fact that, you know, we don't believe there's repercussions from the internet that have allowed us to say whatever we want to say, but they're just words when talking to someone in real life. And for every person who's ever dreamt of being a writer, they're not just words. Okay, if words really didn't matter, anyone could be an author, right? But you look at someone who's done editing, and that's all they talk about, is finding the right word. Look up, go to any social media and look up what people have to say about there. Okay? Or use of the word very. Tell me again it's just a word. We really don't want to accept that some things are actually genuinely better than something else. Heaven forbid. You want to argue that everything's the same? Try buying your cell phone from some seller in China. Don't buy your genuine certified Apple product. Just go to Hao Zhongming. I'm sure he's got a very trustworthy eBay account, and it's the same. Nothing's better than another in this category, in this day and age. Yet, the people who are going to make a difference are the ones that say this stuff actually does matter. Something can be better, something should be better. And not just what I'm being offended or other people's behavior. Let me do something about it. Okay? Instead of making safe spaces, we need to be making improvements. I honestly think if people had that mentality, there'd be a lot less protesting. They do all they can to make the improvement. And that can be said. Right? We had the same problem when we started that whole obesity epidemic. And I hate the word epidemic because it makes it sound like it's some spontaneous disease that happens to people. It doesn't just happen. You don't gork yourself out on 5,000 calories a day and just randomly, oh my gosh, I got fat. Okay? What did people do with all the fast food chains that they were now so dependent on? They need to change the menus. They need to change to suit our lifestyle. Unfortunately, it worked. Right? What didn't happen is someone said, I'll just stop going to McDonald's. That's one of the perks of capitalism, okay? Is that if I don't like selection A, I can go to selection B. Right? Or heaven forbid, we become a DIY culture again and figure out how to make your own burger. Because even making your own hamburger is infinitely healthier than something someone else made in 10 seconds. Okay? So if you are dependent on someone else to cook your food for you because you haven't got the time, first off, you might need to slow down a second. Decide some priorities. And second of all, do something that supports what you want instead of forcing other people to comply. Okay? Because there are healthy fast food places out there. Go to Subway. Go to Jimmy John's even. Those are healthier alternatives. And if McDonald's sees, ideally, this is the capitalist theory, is that if McDonald's is suddenly not getting the customers, and they're seeing that these places with healthier options are getting the customers, well then they'll change on their own because they don't want to go under. Failure can and should be an option, regardless of if it's burgers or cars or governments. And I hate that we as America have come to associate failure with wrong. Enjoy failure. Learn, adapt, innovate. That's what made America America. That's what the American dream was, right? So, let me get off my soapbox for a second. If you are my Imager Secret Santa, I have not forgotten about you, and I will not be that person. You will get your box in the mail. Everyone else, go make something. Go do something. Instead of posting on social media or posting on a freeway what it is you think needs to be changed, go and change something. That makes a difference. And you don't look like a whiny punk and end up killing people in the process. All right? Merry Christmas.